President, please be seated. The court is now in session. During today's session, the Chamber will be conducting a hearing on two separate points. First, the Chamber will give the floor to the accused Nguyen Chia to be able to make his own statement in response to the paragraphs in the closing order, the paragraphs that are relevant to segment 3 of case file 002/1 and the paragraphs that had already been read out to the parties to the proceedings by the greffiers of the trial chamber and by Mr. Saikolvati as of yesterday. Mr. Nguyen Chia will have the floor, except he waives his right to do so, and that to be clear, the responses have to be relevant to the paragraphs as indicated, and that judges also will be putting some questions to the accused person if he wishes to respond to the questions. And the next item would be the hearing on the documents to be put by the judges of the bench and the documents to be put by parties to the proceeding, those of which that are most relevant to the structure of democratic Cambodia, and the documents as stated in the decision by the trial chamber on the 24th of September 2012. The reference is document E233 if you would like to have a look at it. The Chamber at the same time notes that there are a lot of documents that have been raised before the Chamber that are important, but in the actual courtroom debate, these documents do not provide enough information to the public. And on top of that, there are a lot of documents that are put by the parties during the proceedings. So it is very important that the Chamber needs to get some clarification from the parties with regard to the numbers of documents, including the exculpatory and inculpatory evidence. And to make sure the public is better informed, the Chamber would like to conduct today's hearing for the document hearing so that parties can identify the documents they wish to be put before the Chamber concerning the democratic Cambodia. At the same time, the accused person is allowed to make any statement or responses to the submission of the documents. And by doing so, the Chamber hopes that it will be able to locate the relevant documents, both inculpatory and exculpatory. And we also hope that parties will only select the specific and certain relevant documents that are mainly relevant to the structure of the democratic Cambodia that fall within this segment of the trial. and the Chamber wishes to also inform the parties to refrain from putting the same documents that have already been debated during the proceedings so far. So this is a brief purpose of today's hearing, and we envisage that this hearing will take about 3 to 4 days, depending on the volume of the documents to be put or proposed by the parties to be put before the Chamber during the proceedings. Counsel, for Mr. Nguyen Chia, you may now proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, everyone. Just a few points this morning. I did speak to our client just before Your Honors came into the courtroom, and he's informed us that he'll need approximately 5 minutes to make his submission this morning. My second point is a brief request for clarification with respect to something that happened yesterday, and this has to do with the questioning of witnesses. In July, your chamber ruled that we are permitted to base questions on information contained in documents that are not before the chamber, as long as we don't quote from or refer to them, as long as we don't quote from or refer to the documents. Yesterday, you ruled, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you ruled that all questions, every single question put to a witness, must somehow explicitly relate to a document, and that includes witness statements. I believe that's what you said, and that we are also obliged to refer to that document in court. So I assume the logical disconnect between those two positions is obvious to everyone on the stage. It's certainly obvious to me. Perhaps your position is clear in your collective judicial minds, but I would be grateful, so that I know how to proceed before this chamber to know what is the position. Can you reconcile those 2 points? And could you please do it perhaps in writing at a later stage so that it's very clear? Because at the moment, I'm afraid it's clear as mud. And my third point would be just, again, with respect to something that happened yesterday. I had a quick look at my agenda, at my diary for the coming weeks, and I will be in New York at the end of this month. So if your honors are planning to issue a written complaint, as I believe you mentioned yesterday, I would be more than happy to deliver that in person to the New York Bar Association. I think things have a tendency to get lost in the shuffle there, and I'm speaking from experience in a previous case. So I would be more than happy to hand deliver that document. I think we all have an interest in having those issues aired quickly and publicly. And again, now I turn over the floor to my client. Thank you.
The President, I thank you very much, Counsel, for that. But please be informed that the Chamber has all the necessary means to channel that message, and we know how we can do our job on this. And with regard to your application, you should have made it in writing, and please make it clear that you lay out the ground for such application or motion, because we believe that you would like the trial chamber to issue a reasoned decision also. So to make sure that we are fair on this, you have the reasoned motion, and then the decision by the chamber will eventually be reasoned accordingly. And it has to be made in writing, and you have already been informed time again that you should have done so in writing. And the chamber have already informed you as well to inform the chamber before you have the floor, for example, by briefing the chamber on a few points, the purpose of your submission or application. And finally, the Chamber would like to reiterate our position that the motion shall always be made in writing so that we have the ground for our reasoned decision, and we would like to avoid any criticism for not issuing such a reasoned decision in the future. Mr. Nguyen Chia, the Chamber has already granted your request, and the Chamber wishes to also remind you that you are not allowed to make any statements or remarks that are straying out of the paragraphs that have already been part of the closing order and read out by the greffiers of the trial chamber early last week and in the afternoon of yesterday. So please be well informed. You are confined to respond to only the relevant paragraphs as read out. And please make sure that you comply with the Internal Rule 89 bis subparagraph 2. Mr. Nguyen Chia, you will now have the floor to make such remarks or response. However, before ceding the floor to you, the Chamber has a question. Are you poised to respond to the questions to be put by the judges of the bench and the parties to the proceeding concerning case file 002/1 segment 3 or not? Please respond to this question first before the floor is given to you to make your remarks. Nguyen Chia, Mr. President, my health is not good. I may have to exercise my right not to respond. I have to exercise my right to remain silent. After reading the paragraphs, hearing the paragraphs in which I have been alleged to have committed the crimes, I would like to now comment on the roles I played as follows. In particular, with relevant to paragraphs 121 to 123, paragraph 873 to 881, the accusations against me with regard to the security centers, and I would like to reject all these accusations, and I would like to state very clearly that I have never been engaged in such committees before, and at the same time I played no role at all in managing S21 office. That's all from me, Mr. President. Thank you very much. The President, thank you, Mr. Nguyen Chia, for indicating your precise waiver of the right to remain silent. Indeed, it is enshrined in the internal rule. The President, the Chamber also would like to remind parties to the proceedings that co-prosecutors will be allotted 1 day and a half for this, while the civil parties will have a half day, when the defense counsels will have 2 days for putting the documents before the Chamber. And these allocated times also include the time when the accused person would also be making some comments during the course of the proceedings as well. As indicated in the instruction by the chamber, Mr. or counsels for Ieng Sary or Mr. Ieng Sary himself will be given some opportunities to also respond to the documents if necessary. We would like to also hear from the three defense counsels how time is going to be divided or allocated among themselves. And at the same time, the chamber wishes to inform Mr. Nuonchi and Khieu Samphan that the chamber fully understands your rights to remain silent. Mr. Ieng Sary already expressly waived his right to respond to any questions, the right that he has waived for a long time. Again, as the chamber indicates, the accused persons will have opportunities to make any remarks or responses to any of the document being put before the chamber should each of the accused wish to exercise their rights to respond. And it is not obligatory for an accused person to make any remarks or response at all to any of the document. The chamber just wishes to remind them that indeed if they wish to do so, they can. The President, Mr. Nuonchi and Mr. Khieu Samphan, can you tell the chamber, please, whether you would wish to make any comments or remarks with regard to the documents going to be put before the chamber, starting from Mr. Nuonchi first?
Thank you, Mr. President. We are still in the process of discussing with our client and amongst ourselves whether our participation in this exercise, not quite sure I understand what it is, quite frankly. We're still debating whether it's in the interests of our client to submit documents, to make comments on documents. As I said, we don't really understand what's going on for these next 4 days.
The President, counsel for Mr. Khieu Samphan, you may proceed.
Yes, good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, everyone. Mr. Khieu Samphan does not intend to make any comments now, and we also said that given the limited character of what we may do, because we cannot plead when evidence is being tendered, we do not intend to present any documents in this hearing. Thank you, Mr. President.
The President, thank you, counsel. It is too bad that the chamber already issued the instruction and the memorandum document E233 dated on the 24th of September 2012 on this. Nonetheless, counsel for Nuonchi was on his feet and indicated that he had no idea what the debate would be about. So I would not wish to elaborate further on this because we already believe that the councils were already well informed.
If I could just clarify something you said, I didn't understand your memorandum. That's what I didn't understand. E233. It's not that I have no idea what this is about. I don't understand what the chamber wants. Thank you.
The President, thank you, Council. We have never heard so far from the date when the memorandum had been issued, and should you wish to state that you did not understand the memorandum, you should have already indicated that already before the hearing today.
The President, about the Office of Co-Prosecutor, have you made all the documents ready for the presentation to the court? Have you done your part in relation to our memorandum on E233?
Yes, Mr. President, we've provided to the senior legal officer and the other parties lists of the documents that we intend to present over the day and a half.
The President, how about the lead co-lawyer for the civil parties? Mr. Pinyong. Mr. President, good morning, Your Honors. Good morning. I apologize. I am a bit late due to the traffic jam. We have already prepared all the documents. President, thank you. Now I hand over to the prosecutor to present the documents before the chamber. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning to everybody. Your Honors, I'm going to start today by giving just a quick overview of the presentations that will be made today and the next day that we resume by the co-prosecutors. Our presentation will consist of documents relevant to the key allegations in the closing order in the administrative structures and communications sections, and will be divided into three parts. The first part, which my colleague and I will begin this morning, will focus on the roles of the Central and Standing Committee of the Communist Party of Kampuchea, including their decision-making authority and their communication of party lines and policies by various means to the organizations that formed Democratic Kampuchea. The second presentation that will be done by my other colleague here today will focus on documents relating to the structure of the Democratic Kampuchea government, including the functions and operations of four ministries: Foreign Affairs, Commerce, Propaganda, and Social Affairs, and how those ministries reported to the party leaders and implemented policies established by the Center. The third and last presentation will focus on documents relating to communications, including the detailed telegrams and reports that were sent from the zones and autonomous sectors to the Center, pursuant to a regime of reporting that was mandated by the Standing and Central Committees. And as part of that presentation, you will also see some examples of reports from the commune, district, and sector levels by which information was communicated up the hierarchy until eventually reaching the leaders in Phnom Penh. Together, the documents that will be presented by the co-prosecutors will show how the key organizations that formed the Democratic Kampuchea regime functioned, how information was communicated up to the leaders in the Center, and how policies and directives were disseminated down from the Center to the base for implementation. And I will now turn the floor to my national colleague, who will start a presentation of documents on the Standing and Central Committees.
The President, you may proceed. Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, Your Honors, and good morning to everyone. As my esteemed colleague indicated, I am going to make a presentation on the roles and composition of the Central Committee and the Standing Committee of the Communist Party of Cambodia. With your leave, I would like to project certain documents on the screens as I go along making this presentation. My first document is E3/130, entitled the Statute of the Party. The Statute of the Communist Party of Cambodia. The President, you may proceed. Thank you, Mr. President. This document outlines the roles and authorities of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Cambodia, and Article 7 provides that from one General Assembly to another assembly, there was the supreme organs of the party, which is the Central Committee, and Article 8 of the party statute also provides that for any regions or organization that was unique in nature, both in military, economics, or cultural or social cultural section, may assign in a separate division under the direct or indirect leadership of the Central Committee. The precise role of the Communist Party of Cambodia, as provided for in Article 23, also provides that the roles and responsibility of the Central Committee, verse 1, implements the party line and the statute of the party. 2, give a direction to all party branches and cells across the country so as to ensure that they comply with the political lines of the party. And third, organize the party members as well as core members by controlling the biographies as well as the appointment of those members. In Article 25 of the parties also provides that the Central Committee shall convene General Assembly every 6 months in order to monitor the progress of the party as well as to set direction for all sections. At the same time, Mr. Kilsompon also testifies before the Office of Co-Investigating Judges by providing necessary information in relation to the role of the Central Committee as well as the Standing Committee of the Communist Party of Cambodia. Document E3/27, which is the record of the interview of Mr. Kilsompon, dated the 13th of December 2007.
នៅក្នុងឯកសារនេះគឺត្រង់
and ERN in Khmer 00156618 to 20. Relevant ERN in English 00156749 and in French 0015667172. Mr. Kilsompon stated that Communist Party of Democratic Cambodia was a communist state led by the party, and he also said that as a principle the main organ of the party is the Central Committee, but in real practice the Standing Committee was the supreme organ, and the decision of the direction of the party was decided by the Standing Committee. And Mr. Kilsompon also mentioned that the Central Committee meets every 6 months from 1970, and the Standing Committee meets on regular basis, approximately every 7 to 10 days, or even more frequent as necessitated by the circumstances. In response to the question in relation to the composition of the Standing Committee as well as the Central Committee, Mr. Kilsompon stated that the Standing Committee comprised of 7 members, namely Pol Pot, Nuon Chea, Won Wait, Sao Phum, Tamok, Son Sen, and Ieng Sari. And I would like to reiterate that in this committee, it was not a requirement that everyone had to be present, but as for the Central Committee, there were 30 members, but he did not recall all the names of members of the committee. But those whom he can recall was Mahmoud, who was the son-in-law of Tamok. And in 1975, he was transferred to lead the Navy forces. Sirvasi alias Duen was the chairman of Office 870, Koi Thuan and Kai Bok. And I myself was the member of the Central Committee. Before I was a candidate member in 1971, and then I was promoted to be the full right member in 1976. In another record of interview dated the 14th of December 2007, the co-investigating judges also asked Mr. Kilsompon to describe the roles of Office K1 and K3. And at that time, Mr. Kyusampon said, it was the place where the standing committee worked and resided, and Cave 1 was in front of the Tunle Basa. It was located in a building close to the conference hall, and K3 was adjacent to the Royal Palace. It was in the building blocks crossing Cambodia Crown and Pasteur, and there was another road crossing. As for I myself, I stayed in K3. I stayed there for a few months before I was after I was transferred from Silver Pagoda. Those who stay in K3 included Nuon Chia, Son Sen, and Ieng Sary. As for Pol Pot, he came to stay at night once in a Val, but as a preventive measure, he frequently changed his residence. He also stayed at times at K1. As for the meeting of the standing committee, normally they were held at K1, but sometimes they were also held at K3 or at Pol Pot's house. There was another document, E3/89, which is the interview with Mr. Ieng Sary on the 17th of December 1996. In this document, Mr. Ieng Sary mentioned the composition of the standing committee and the presence of Mr. Kyusampon in those meetings. In document E3/89, relevant year and in Khmer 0006 2453 254, English 004176 00, French 00332682. Mr. Ieng Sary responded to the questions as follows. Question. So then, was there some sort of Central Committee level meeting in late 1975? Response. In September 1975, there was a meeting to decide what we had to do then to keep Vietnam from coming to take control of Cambodia. And then there was a follow-up question, and the question reads, so was this decided at the Standing Committee level or by the Central Committee as a whole? And Mr. Ieng Sary responds, it was only the Standing Committee, not the Central Committee, the Standing Committee. Then the next question, quote, so who was in the Standing Committee then, end quote. Mr. Ieng Sary responded, quote, virtually all of the Standing Committee was there. Pol Pot, Nuon Chia, Sao Phum, me, Son Sen, and Tamok, end quote. Then the next question reads, quote, Tamok and Von Wait or not? And Ieng Sary responded, quote, Von Wait, yes, end quote. Then the next question, quote, and Kyusampon, end quote. Response by Ieng Sary, quote, no, but Kyusampon was present, end quote. Question, was present but was not a member of the Standing Committee? Ieng Sary responded, he was not a member of the Standing Committee, end quote. So I would like to read this portion of the interview with Mr. Ieng Sary. So the authority and the responsibility of the Central Committee was presented in document E3. Dated the 30th of March 1976, and this document related to the decision of the party in relation to certain matters. In this document, the decision to smash the inside and outside the rank. There was the decision as follows. One, there is a framework in absolute implementation of our revolution. Two, to strengthen our socialist democracy. All this to strengthen our state authority. If in the base framework to be decided by the Zone Standing Committee, surrounding the Center Office to be decided by the Central Office Committee, independent sectors to be decided by the Standing Committee, the Center Military to be decided by the General Staff. And in Part 2 of this decision outlines the organization of the state organs established at that time. In this, it says it has to organize these party organs to be the revolutionary party organs, and it follows that, as a matter of fact, the true nature of our party was different. Before it was the front, but now it belongs exclusively to the party. There was another example in document E3/232 dated 8th of March 1976. This document is the record of the base level meeting participated by Pol Pot, the secretary, and Nguyen Chia, deputy secretary, as well as Khieu Samphan. In this particular meeting, Mr. Khieu Samphan reported the election that was to be conducted on the 20th of March 1976 in order to elect the People Assembly's representative. And in this record of the meeting, in Part 1.2, D, in ERN in Khmer 00017118, English 00182630, French 00323933, which reads as follows. If anyone asks, we must explain not to be vile and disorderly. Do not let it be seen that we want to suppress. At the same time, do not speak playfully about the assembly in front of the people to let them see that we are deceptive and our assembly is worthless. In fact, it still remains the task of the party. In another document, E3/507, which is the minutes of the discussion of the confrontation conducted by the Office of Co-Investigating Judges, dated the 14th of November 2007, Mr. Khieu Samphan stated that it is the fact that I participated in the meeting, the enlarged meeting of the Standing Committee. And in that particular committee meeting, they discussed the general issue in relation to the national defense, national rehabilitation, Vietnam issue, as well as the tenders of resignation of Prince Norodom Sihanouk. Then I would like to move on to the minutes of the meeting of the Standing Committee, in which Mr. Khieu Samphan participated, document E3/197, which is the record of the meeting of the Standing Committee, which was conducted on the 11th of March 1976, with the following agendas. One is the tendering of resignation by Prince Norodom Sihanouk. In this particular minutes of the meeting, it notes the composition of the participant, namely Comrade Pol Pot, Secretary, Deputy Secretary Nguyen Chia, Von Wait alias Khieu Samphan alias Haim, and Comrade Duen. In this very meeting, Mr. Kirsanporn reported to the Standing Committee of the Communist Party of Cambodia in relation to the resignation of Samdech Norodom Sihanouk. In this particular meeting, there was discussion by the leaders of the Communist Party of Cambodia from the 11th to the 13th of March 1976. In the meeting on the 11th of March 1976, point number 2, which reads opinions of Angka. Point number 1, the reason which led Sihanouk to resign. These minutes recorded the various reasons for the resignation of Norodom Sihanouk, and I would like to quote as follows. Quote, there were two reasons, namely the long-term and the immediate. The long-term reason, fundamental class conflict between him and his family and the revolution. He cannot live with us. In the past, he could only as a tactic. Since we operated tactically, he could go along with us. He did not just resign one time. He resigns in 1971. Document E3/179 also described the situation, and that was conducted on the 13th of March 1976. On part 3 of these minutes in relation to the opinions of Angka of the meeting on the evening of the 13th. In these minutes, it recorded that Comrade Haim reported to the Standing Committee on Sihanouk problem. He has decided to absolutely resign from his position, and he explained that Angka should take pity on him, and he would even crawl and show the gesture of respect, whatever, just let him resign. And this resignation has nothing to do with the opposition against us. And Comrade Secretary explained that this problem is a major one and leave it to our center to decide. In this particular meeting of the Standing Committee also noted 6 measures which were later agreed by the members of the Standing Committee. I would like to raise some relevant points. 1. Do not let Sihanouk leave the country. And 3. Send a wire for his children to come immediately, explaining that they are coming for the New Year's and the independence celebrations. We want to resolve this problem cleanly, and we must resolve it like this to the benefit of the revolution. Then in this same minute, it also outlines the decision and resolution of the party, which recorded as follows. As a matter of fact, Sihanouk is a skinny tiger. He was clawless and jawless as well. So he is waiting for his dying day. Therefore, he is just waiting for the day of his death. But if this old tiger is released to walk along the road, the children will certainly be frightened, and some adults who don't know that he is only the tame tiger will be frightened as well. Another part of the record also indicated that he also joined the revolution with us, even though he had conflicts with us. This is why the party decided for him to be chairman of the state presidium. But he did not agree, so whether he stays or goes, it is his matter. We keep him as a dignitary. We do not kill him, but for the nation and the people, he bears serious guilt in his status of a killer of the people. Therefore, our decision is reasonable in every way. We will maintain him, but if he keeps on struggling to free himself, we must end. In relation to the revolution and the direction of the development of revolution, this minute reads, we must end feudalism, just like this. The chess game has gotten to that point. The entire feudalist regime has been permanently smashed and dug out by the revolution. The kings existing over 2,000 years must in the end be cleaned. We have no way out other than this one.
According to the document during the examination, document E3/557, as indicated, Mr. Kyo Sampon also stated that there was a problem among many others that had to be discussed during the meeting of the Standing Committee, in which he also was in attendance. It was the issue concerning Vietnam. With regard to this, it can be found under document E3/218, the document of the minutes of the Standing Committee, and the item of agendas include the negotiation with Vietnam concerning the border to the east. And the meeting was led by Secretary of the party, Mr. Nguyen Chia, and Son Sen, Keo Sampon, Ya, and Duan also joined the meeting. The meeting stated about the report by Comrade Ya, who stated to the meeting concerning the results of the negotiations with Vietnam from the evening of the 7th until the morning of the 9th of March 1976. According to these minutes, Nguyen Chia rendered some instructions and guidance as indicated in point number 2, document ERN in Khmer 00000756 to 57, English ERN 0018 26 56 through 57, French ERN 0033 4971. At the same time, on point number 2 concerning the future measures, point A indicates clearly that keep implementing the measures of the party, political, military, and diplomatic. Comrade Deputy Secretary recalled the content of the Standing Committee's decision in the meeting of the 11th of March concerning the problems on the eastern border, protection, and sending the minutes to Comrade Ya. According to the meeting on the 11th of March concerning the eastern border as stated in document E3/218, which was the minutes of the Standing Committee dated 11th of March 1976, we can see that the meeting was joined by the 3 accused persons, including Mr. Nguyen Chia, Keo Sampon, and Ieng Sari. On top of that, on point C, which is the future measures, the same document E3/218, Son Sen was assigned to prepare the map to be ready before negotiation with Vietnam was conducted. The same meeting on point number 3 concerning the Vietnamese activities at other locations also state that the knowledge of the Standing Committee of the conflicts with Vietnam and other locations, and also the decision made by the Standing Committee concerning the use of mine, the seizure of the motorboats, and the arrest of people who ran to Vietnam. I would like to quote the minute as follows. During the negotiations in the northeast at other locations, the Vietnamese carried out activities non-stop. as in A. In the east, in the Chbot area of Snool district, they built a road across our land along an old French road and entered 4 to 5 kilometers into our territory. The party instructed the use of mines. At Kbal Jam, their tractor drove into our territory and hit a mine, killing the driver, and they came to drag it back. At another location on the Svai Rieng border, they came and emplaced more than 200 bamboo marker posts, more than a kilometer into our territory. On the sea, they have their small boats and vessels aggress into our territorial waters frequently. We have fired on and sunk some small boats. Therefore, with Vietnam, our problems are never ending. We must continue the political struggle, the diplomatic struggle, but must use military force in combination as well. Be vigilant for another thing with people who flee to Vietnam and who do not return and make propaganda leading others to revolt. The bases have taken measures on this problem already. Khieu Samphan also was mentioned under document E3/557, in which Mr. Khieu Samphan indicated that there was meeting in the standing committee in which he attended. The meeting was about the national defense. Document E3/229, which is also a standing committee's minute on the 22nd of February 1976. The items of the agenda include the national defense in particular. Under this document, we learned that the people who attended the meetings include 6 people: Comrade Pol Pot, Nuon Chea, Ieng Seri alias Van, Bon Wade, Son Sen alias Khieu, Survasi alias Duan, and Comrade Thuch, Comrade Ham. The agenda is about the report on the national defense situation, the situation on the eastern border, and also the concern with regard to the transportation of ammunition. And Comrade Ham discussed about the establishment of a military hospital. The decision was endorsed by the Standing Committee, and measures were laid out. Those include A. In principle, when we negotiate with them, we negotiate. But importantly, we must prepare defense forces. If we only implement policies or have no military measures, then when they come in large numbers in the future, we will have difficulty resolving that. We must examine the strong and weak points and be ready to fight. When they come, go at them immediately. We must cooperate closely with the base level. And the military and the base are in agreement and close to one another. And also there was a proposal concerning the establishment of the airfield in Kampong Chnang. In the minute conducted on the 22nd of February 1976 in the evening, items of agenda including economics also raised. Document E3/230 indicates the presence of the 3 accused persons, and the same people attended this meeting as that of the meeting that was about national defense. However, there was additional member, Comrade Toi, who took part in the next meeting. matter concerning energy, transport, and the matter of Yugoslavia were discussed. And Anka gave the following opinions and instructions. If we look at first point, which is about salt production, the Standing Committee would like to propose pushing additional production from 50,000 to 60,000 tons. And on point number 5, which is about adding forces, there was a proposal by the Standing Committee to use additional adolescent children from the base areas and handing them over to industry for management. Point number 8, the Chinese boats which have, the distribution of Chinese aid rice, distribute a quality of rice. To Comrade Mutta, 5,000 bags. To Kok Kong, 2,000 bags. And to Sector 25, 10,000 bags. As for the remaining amount, keep in reserve for use in Phnom Penh. Next, the final item to be presented today concerns the public dissemination during the Democratic Cambodia. The information endorsed by the Standing Committee. We noted already that some witnesses also stated that they learned about the composition of the Standing Committee of the CPK through broadcasts, radio broadcasts, for example. Next, I would like to give some examples concerning the radio broadcasts of the Democratic Cambodia. I would like to only touch upon the broadcasts from December 1977. And I also note that the Chamber may also wish to locate some other documents under Appendix 5, the list of documents from the Office of Co-Prosecutors, document relevant from September 1977 all the way to January 1979. I would like to now bring to you some documents concerning the Democratic Cambodia as follows. Document E31495, Khmer ERN 00727838, English 00168315, French ERN 00750223. This document records the radio broadcast by Phnom Penh radio station at 23 hours on the 3rd of December 1977. It is about the meeting between the members of the political office of the CPK and the Communist Party of China. The people in the meeting include Comrade Pol Pot, the party secretary, and the secretary of the Standing Committee, and the Prime Minister, Nuon Chea, the deputy secretary of the Central Committee, and also the head of the Standing Committee of the People's Representative Assembly, Mr. Ieng Sari, member of the Standing Committee of the CPK and the Deputy Prime Minister in charge of Foreign Affairs. Comrade Won Wade, member of the Standing Committee of the Central Committee of the CPK and the Deputy Prime Minister in charge of Economy. Comrade Son Sen, member of the Standing Committee of the Central Committee and the Deputy Prime Minister in charge of Ministry of Defense. Document E3/1496 under ERNs in Khmer 00727587 and English ERN 00168351. French ERN 00726150. This document records the radio broadcast in Phnom Penh at 23 hours, the universal time, on the 24th of December 1977. This radio broadcast was about a banquet in the conclusion of the mission, joined by the delegation from the Chinese Political Bureau of China. And this broadcast was also about the roles of Mr. Pol Pot, Nuon Chea, Ieng Sary, and Von Wait in the Standing Committee and the Central Committee of the CPK, as indicated in the previous meeting as well. And the final document is document E3/1499 under ERN in Khmer 00714316 and 00714318, still in Khmer. English ERN 00168363 through 64. French ERN 00743645 through 46. This document indicates the record of the radio broadcast of the same hour, the 23 hour on the 23rd of December 1977, and also a radio broadcast on the 19th of December. It was about the banquet offered for the Laotian delegation. And in that broadcast, the roles of Mr. Nuon Chea, Ieng Sary, Von Wait were indicated to be relevant to the Standing Committee and the Central Committee of the CPK as well. My PowerPoint presentation, my presentation on the documents to be put before the Chamber comes to a conclusion already. I would like to cede the floor over to my colleague to continue from me. The President, International Co-Prosecutor, you may now proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your Honors, today I will focus my presentation on documents that show the role of the Standing and Central Committees in communicating party lines, decisions, directives, and policies for implementation by the regional military and government organizations that form Democratic Kampuchea. The first document that I would like to start with is E3/182. That's E3/182. These are the minutes of the ninth meeting of the Standing Committee that was held on the 9th of October 1975. And the section that I would like to present reflects statements by the Standing Committee on the obligation of regional organizations to implement the party lines and decisions that were made by the Center. The section of the minutes titled Measures, which starts at the bottom of page 2 and continues on page 3 of the Khmer original. And those Khmer ERN pages are 000191110 and 19109. And I will note for your honors that in the Khmer original on Xylab, pages 2 and 3 are in the wrong order. You can see that from the top, from the page numbers at the top. The English ERNs are 001833994 through 183395, and the French ERN is 00292-869 through 292870. And in this part of the Standing Committee minutes, the following measures are stated. Quote, each sector must have total mastery in the sense of implementing the party line and the decisions of the party, with initiative, being on the offensive to arrange carefully and in detail, quickly and in succession. Continuing to the next paragraph. In order to achieve objectives, for one thing, there must be a stance of special high responsibility by grasping the general party lines. In particular, the line of contacts with one's section must follow the lines clearly, and the process must be clear in the sense of implementation with initiative and management. Therefore, we will take the party's lines and decisions and reserve inventiveness. At the bottom of this paragraph, it is stated, quote, in bringing up projects, we must ask the Standing Committee's opinion so it may decide and approve, end of quote. And continuing on down to the next page, in a paragraph 2, which is titled, which reads as follows, quote, working in each individual sector without asking the Standing Committee, this is a mistake. Therefore, that is why we must solve problems by taking the party's decisions and implementing directly and well. End of quote. Your Honors, one of the means by which the Standing and Central Committees communicated these party lines and instructions to regional organizations was by speeches or presentations at zone congresses, some of which were then published in Revolutionary Flag. And there are 3 issues of Revolutionary Flag that contain speeches or comments by party representatives from the center that were made at such zone conferences that I would like to present. The first is document E3/760. That's E3/760. And this is the June 1976 issue of Revolutionary Flag. And in this document, starting at Khmer ERN page 000-62845 through 62846, English ERN 00509-611, and French ERN 00487-756, the party published, quote, extracts from the instructions of the Comrade Party Organization representative during a zone conference that was held from the 3rd to 7th of June 1976. An explanation is provided in this document as to the reason this speech was being published, which states as follows, and this is a quote that appears in a box immediately under the title of the section. Quote, from 3 June 1976 through 7 June 1976, a zone conference was held. The Comrade Party Organization representative attended this conference and gave opinions and guidance on many important issues that the conference raised for discussion, surrounding in particular the strategy and tactics to attack and achieve 3 tons per hectare during this year. The experience of the right and the wrong that this zone conference raised for examination and discussion, and the opinions and guidance that the Comrade Party organization representative raised during this conference may be studied by other zones and sectors throughout the country in order to further improve our strategic and tactical lines to advance towards achieving the mission of 3 tons per hectare. Therefore, we wish to provide the following extract of the opinions and guidance of the Comrade Party organization representative during this conference to our comrades to examine, consider, and study as follows. And the next pages of the document that follow this contain the opening comments of the party organization representative. And following those opening comments, there is a parenthetical that can be found at Khmer page 000-62848 through 62849, English ERN 00509-614, and French ERN 00487-758. And that parenthetical reads as follows, quote, "Next, the conference began to hear the report of the Zone Committee and to discuss the issues raised in the agenda. After listening to the report and discussing each of the issues, the Comrade Party organization representative provided opinions and guidance. We wish to provide the following excerpts of the opinions and guidance of the Comrade Party organization representative." And what immediately follows that parenthetical is a section of such opinions and guidance regarding the enemy situation. At the very end of this part of the revolutionary flag, at Khmer ERN 000-62873 through 62874, English ERN 00509-634, and French ERN 00487-783 through 487-784 is a section titled "Parting Words at the Closing of the Zone Conference," in which the following remarks were published. Quote, "This afternoon, we hold the closing ceremony for our conference after having worked successfully for 3.5 days. Moving down later on this page, quote, "We will report the outcome of this zone conference to the Central Committee and will disseminate the experiences of this zone and this conference throughout the country as well. And through this, we will further modify and improve our strategic and tactical lines." Continuing on to a further paragraph below, quote, "Our objective is to have all you comrade representatives grasp and use the outcome of the conference, in particular the strategic and tactical lines to achieve socialist revolution and build socialism and achieve 3 tons per hectare, and implement them in all our base area cooperatives and ministries and offices inside the zone in order to achieve 3 tons per hectare. And the closing remarks, quote, "In closing, let me send my best wishes to all you comrades returning to the base areas to implement the decisions of our conference successfully, in particular to achieve 3 tons per hectare during 1976. The next document that I will present, Your Honors, is document E3/193, E3/193, which is the August 1977 issue of Revolutionary Flag. And this issue published a presentation of the party organization representative regarding a number of instructions in building, strengthening, and expanding party leadership on the occasion of the West Zone Cadre Conference held on the 25th of July, 1977. In contrast to the Zone Conference speech from June 1976 that I just discussed, which focused primarily on instructions to achieve 3 tons per hectare, the document I'm about to present primarily focused on the problem of internal enemies within the ranks. The 25 July 1977 presentation that is published in this issue of Revolutionary Flag begins as follows at Khmer ERN 000-62948, English ERN 00399-222 through 399-223, and French ERN 00611-826. And I will quote from the start of the presentation on those pages. Quote, I wish to make a presentation regarding the instructions of the party on a number of important matters for implementation in the second semester of 1977. These are important issues that must be implemented from now until late 1977. As I have learned from the reports of the zone these past several days, the comrades in every sector have already studied these party instructions. However, on this opportunity to learn from the model district, Kampong Chalak Lu, the Zone Com joins me in seeing that it is necessary to further disseminate and clarify these instructions so that comrades may further assess and consider their concrete meaning in your individual base areas. Why raise these matters again, clarify them again? In order to assess at year's end if we have strongly accomplished these tasks, completely accomplished our 1977 tasks. This is the objective. If we can grasp these instructions clearly in terms of concrete implementation, we clearly will accomplish the 1977 plans. Therefore, the instructions which we clarify at this time are to absolutely achieve 3 tons and 6 tons, to achieve attacking and cleaning out the enemy, and to absolutely build party leadership. End of quote. At the start of the next section of this document, which is at Khmer ERN 000-62949, English 00399-223, and French ERN 00611-827, there is a reference to a party decision from the prior zone conference that was held in February 1977. And reading from the document, I quote, "According to the decisions of the party throughout the country, and as I recall, according to the decisions of the party in the West Zone during the February 1977 conference in Kampong Chhnang, we agreed to do whatever it takes so that each 1,000 family cooperative has 30 party members, 50 core organization members, and 80 progressives." End of quote. The speech in this document that was given at the West Zone Conference and published in the Revolutionary Flag magazine contained a number of instructions communicated for implementation by the zone. And, Mr. President, I'm about to get into some more lengthy sections of the document, so if you wish me to stop here for the break, I can, or I can continue on for a few more minutes.
The President, thank you very much. It is now appropriate moment for adjournment. The chamber will adjourn for 20 minutes. The next session will be resumed by 11 o'clock.
សូមអញ្ជើញក្រោកឈរ